Okay, so now we're going to get into creating some data by sending some post requests to Graph via Postman. What I want to do first, though, is come into Graph Explorer, and we're going to scroll down to the Outlook Calendar section. So if you look here, we have some get methods, and then we have some post methods that we can send here. So I'm going to click on Schedule a Meeting. So I click there. When I scroll back up, I can see that my this text area here has been populated with this request body, and the subject is my event. So let's first check my calendar, and we can see there's no events in here. But when I come back over to the Graph Explorer, and I'm going to call this my event ABC, going from the 20th to the 27th. Okay, I'm going to run the query. Okay, so status code 201 means the object was created, which is good. I come back to the calendar and there it is, 20th to the 27th. So that's a good sign. Now that's basically our first step to being able to create an event on somebody else's calendar. So what I'm going to do first is copy this request body and come back to Postman. And let's create a new request. I'm going to call this one create event. Okay, and save to flow graph demo. Okay, create event. All right, so first of all, I'm going to paste this in the body section here, and this is going to be sent as raw. I'll change the subject at the end, but there's some work to be done here. Now, when you create an event on somebody else's calendar, there's actually a defined way to do it. There is some documentation provided by Microsoft on how to go about doing this. So I'm going to bring this over here. So this is the create events documentation page for Microsoft Graph. So I'm not going to go through all this in detail, but essentially the key here is that when you want to create the event, you need to have the user's ID or the user principal name. So that is kind of the key to that whole thing. So with that being said, we can get the person's ID by going to get users. Okay, let me first get a new token. So we did this before. There's our token. Now we'll say get users. Okay, so here's all of our users. Okay, so now this is coming in. This is being pulled in from Azure Active Directory. And now let's go ahead and create this event for, let's say, Sarah Connor. Okay, so here's the ID for Sarah Connor. There it is, right there. Okay, so that is all well and good. So we need that ID. And I'll come back to my create event here. So I'm going to bounce back to Graph Explorer for a second, and I'm going to grab this, and then over in Postman, we'll do this right there. Okay, so now if you reference the documentation page, we can see that the request parameter is a bit different. So obviously we know that we need the person's ID, which we have through our get user get request. But we need to format the actual call a bit differently. So first of all, it's not going to be a get request, it's going to be a post. And it's not going to be for me, it's going to be for users. And then obviously I've gone through this once, that's why these are coming up. But the users, we're going to say users slash, and then the ID for Sarah Connor is right here. And then it's basically calendar, and I could just click there, but I'll just type it out, slash events. Okay, so we're going to send that. Now let's put in for the header, we need the authorization. And again, it's going to be bearer and then access token. All right, let's send it. So you'll see we get a 415 unsupported media type error. So that didn't work. And the reason is because we didn't set the content type. So if we look back at the body here, we can see it's in JSON format. And I need to set the content type here to application slash, you guessed it, JSON. Okay, so once that's filled in, this should work. I'll send it. Okay, so it's status 201 created. That's a good sign. Um, and let's go over to Sarah Connor's calendar. Let's just see here. Okay, so I'm going to pull this up right now. Okay, I'll bring this over here. So let's say sign in. And okay, Sarah Connor's email address. So there we go, S Connor. Now let's hope I know what I made the password. I think this is it. It is. Now, if I go to the bottom left here and go to calendar, okay, good. So there's the event, my event ABC. And just for posterity, we'll go ahead and create one more. Let's just say this is going to be called my event from Postman. And let's say it goes from the, I don't know, 29th to the 29th, whatever. It doesn't really matter. When I create this, created, and it should, there it is, my event from Postman. So that's great. So those are the key elements that we need. We've now successfully created the event on somebody else's calendar. So we've now laid the foundation for being able to go back to Flow and finish this off. So you see, Postman is great for ensuring that you can create these REST calls and test them out and ensure that they're going to actually work properly for you. The one other thing I'll say on this is that obviously in this case we've hard coded in the ID for the person that we want to create the event for. Once we're back into Flow, this will actually be inserted dynamically because obviously we don't want to keep on making the same event for the same account. So we'll take care of that in Flow. But that's it. That's going to wrap up the section for Graph and Postman basically. And we're going to jump back over to Flow, and I'll see you in the next video.